Hello everybody, today we're talking about how to eventually go after what you're interested in. And in case this topic makes you anxious as before, you will have some nice kittens to look at right there. I have my white pad with me in case I'm losing my train of thought, so let's go into it. The first thing that I want to ask is, who do you want to be really? You have to start from this place, and we will have 7 tips, right? The first one is, who do you really want to become? What's the person that you want to be? And those might seem like easy to answer questions. They might seem that you can answer them in 30 seconds, but please spend at least 10 minutes to give a long paragraph about that. Imagine yourself, how you look like, how you feel like, what's your line of work, what's your career, what's your income, how's your family like, how's your family life, and how's your health, how's your mental health, how's your physical health. Those are very important aspects of what makes a person have a more fulfilling life. Okay, and I think if we start with this in mind, it's incredibly helpful. And this nests very well into the second point, which it is, when you have some goals, just ensure that you know exactly what they are. Just ensure you know what you're aiming at. Because if you have and I know there are so many methods of setting goals, and we're not gonna speak about those here, but you at least have to make them very palpable in the terms of, if I'm saying I want to make $1 million, how am I going to achieve that? It's very tough to have this kind of goal and to eventually reach it unless you have a plan attached to it, right? So a goal should also have a plan. If you remember the old Tony Robbins material, he said a map, a massive action plan, something along those lines. There are so many people, you can listen to so many people in this space that can tell you how to create a plan, and honest to God, all of them work if you have a strong enough why. That's very important, right? So you have to get those things ready before you actually start. And the third thing, the very important thing, is to make a schedule. And that one has to be a schedule that you are happy with. I think that many people, such as myself, are not necessarily very happy with the way that they structure their time. And I'm saying that because we tend to be very hard on ourselves. We tend to be small tyrants. And see, if I would pay somebody to work for me, I would not expect them to be working for 12 hours without a break. So why am I expecting this from myself? It's irrational, it's silly. You have to balance somehow the responsibilities with the relaxation or the reward, because otherwise you will burn out really fast. And I think we've all been there, we've all had periods of time when we were just flat out, and then what we did after those, let's say, 2 weeks of being flat out, we procrastinated for at least 1 week, because you cannot go full, let's say monk mode, even though that term is not necessarily perfect here, but you cannot go fully immersed in an activity for such a long length of time without it burning something else. Again, we need to have connections with other people, we need to walk in parks, we need to have time to physically exercise, right? And also mentally exercise. And that can be reading, that can be looking at a course, learning a new skill. And don't worry, this is not an ad to any learning program. But anything that makes you happy, anything that you are interested in, go for it. And I think it would be worth it. So once you set up the day that you want, once you have a schedule, once you have your goals, and what the person you really want to be, those are the first 3 things. The fourth thing is to realize how much money you are wasting for each hour that you're not working. And I've got this idea from Jordan Peterson, and he said something along the lines that you would roughly make $50 or even $20 or $30 per hour. And imagine how much time or how much money you are not making if you're wasting those hours. And he had a very good question, and I want to steal that one. And the question is, would you pay somebody else $50 to have the hour that you just had? And if not, change it. It's just that simple. And change is not simple at all, but the why behind it is quite simple to identify, right? If you're unhappy with what you did last hour, change it next hour and do something more productive. And maybe if that's your relaxation time, it's fine. You have to have those downtime times as well. And as a person who has very little downtime, I'm telling you, that's not a very it doesn't put you in a very happy place, right? At some time you wish to be able to have more downtime, and at some time you feel like, hey, I had too much downtime and I need to work. Just listen to your gut, listen to those feelings, because that's what you inherently are. I'm not going to go into consciousness, I'm not going to go into anything like that. I really don't have the answers here. I think nobody has. But I think we kind of know what we should be doing. And we have this feeling, right? It's very hard, it's very tough to explain. But when you feel like, hey, I should be working now instead of playing games, go and work. Or if I should be playing games instead of working, think, did I reach my, let's say, quota of productivity for today? Then just go for it and have your fun. You can have both. That's what I'm trying to say. The fifth thing is to measure. Measure how many hours you're actually wasting. And this nests again to the last point that I had. It's very important to understand how much potential money, let's say, you are wasting by wasting 3 hours each day. And to be fair, there are days in which you waste more than that. There are days in which maybe we're productive for a third of it, and and that counts sleeping as well, right? So maybe we have 14 hours of productivity and 8 hours of being totally unproductive. And maybe there are days in which we are productive for 20 hours straight. And again, I'm putting here the sleep hours just to make the calculations easier, because this is not about maths. This is about understanding that even if you waste like 4 hours, and those hours are not necessarily spent for recreation. So in case those 4 hours are already allocated to recreation, that's sort of fine. That's alright, but maybe it's a bit too much for a situation, but you are the only person that knows that. So for those 4 hours which are completely wasted, let's say scrolling on Facebook, Instagram, watching YouTube videos, you would be wasting $200 each day if we assume you could make $50 per hour. And I know you are going to say that, hey, it's impossible to make that much where I'm living at, and I have the same mentality. But then go a bit lower. Let's say I'm thinking that I could make $30 per hour or $100 per hour or whatever. Have that number and put it in the calculation, okay? And you'd realize how much money you are actually wasting. And again, you can be wasting lots and lots of money, from $20,000 to over $100,000, depending on how much you actually believe that you can earn in 1 hour, right? And it's not great, it's not ideal, especially if you're a young person. And I'm saying this as a person who loves playing video games. I mean, yeah, I've got the glasses and all, but see, I love also going for walks and spending time with people. Those are 3 things that I absolutely love, and I don't count the latter 2 as time wasted, but I count video games as more or less time wasted. Half an hour or 1 hour daily, it's fine. More than that, it's wasted. And if I have a day in which I play 3 hours of video games, then it means I'm losing $100. The 6th point is, how would you look like in 10 years if you do what you know that you have to do today? So if you'd be fully responsible, do everything that you want or you have planned for today, how would you look like in 10 years? And it's very hard to picture this. That's the reason of this whole exercise, because you really don't know what can happen in such a long span of time. There are so many things that have happened to me and have happened to everybody else that came apparently out of nowhere, but they actually were built on top of previous work and on previous things that we built. And some of the things, the way that, and I'm going to share a story, right? The way that I first came into US, oh my god, was by being invited there through an Instagram message, okay? And I got that Instagram message because I had a particular type of Instagram account. And I was building that over like 1 year, 1.5 years, and I didn't care about who was reading it or anything like that. I was doing it for myself, to be fair. I was trying to become better. Back in 2016 is when I first started to go into this route of, I wasted so much time. How can I now achieve the things that I wanted? And I started posting things about it. And fast forward 1.5 years, I got a message from a person who is very big on that platform, and he told me, hey, you know what? I saw a comment on my post. Your stuff is really cool. How about you come to the US? And that's probably one of the most amazing things that has happened to me yet. And I will always be appreciative of that. So you never know what will happen if you keep doing what you feel like it's the right thing for yourself for a longer period of time, a longer span of time. You don't want to do it for 3 days and then quit, because you cannot see the compounding interest. And I'm not going to go into finance here, but one of the wealthiest people that have ever lived, which is Warren Buffett, speaks a lot about compounding interest. And if you're into trading and finance, you know very well the term and you know what effect it can have. And for the people that don't, it extremely increases your wealth over a long period of time. The problem with this method is that it's slow, but it's working, right? It's one of the laws of the nature. Everything that gets compounded eventually becomes way bigger than you would initially think. So that's with your action as well. And the seventh one is, what would you become, or what would you do if you would stop kicking the opportunities that are in front of you away? And you are going to say that, hey, I'm not doing that. And that's my initial position as well. I feel like I'm doing whatever it takes to reach to the point that I want. But maybe that's not entirely true. And that can refer to the fact that sometimes an opportunity can be speaking with somebody, and maybe you are feeling socially burned out, and you're like, you know what, I'm not gonna speak to that person. And that person ends up becoming part of a great startup, and maybe you could have worked for that person and learned something for them, or at least discuss great ideas, and you missed on that because you were feeling burned out. So just because you are feeling certain emotions, don't disregard the events in your life. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe you can turn anything into something positive. And on this note, I would love to end. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Please let me know your thoughts and also the feedback. And I'm looking forward to hearing or to seeing. I know it doesn't make any sense, but yeah, I'm looking forward to meet with you again soon.